A weekend that started with Marc Marquez in the gravel twice on Friday, two big crashes, battered and bruised. He wins the sprint, he wins the Grand Prix, he has a 68-point lead over his brother, and it is getting to the point now where you think, when is Marc going to be beat? He is simply on another level compared to the rest. And this weekend, I think, epitomised that. A track that many thought he was going to come into and struggle. He even downplayed it in the pre-build to the race. He wasn't sure, but when he's in that frame of mind and when he knows he needs to prove something, Marc Marquez goes into another stratosphere and can't be beat. Touched on his brother there. 68 points is the gap, but Alex Marquez suffered a crash with Pedro Acosta, a really unlucky incident. Seems that there was contact and Alex's front brake was touched. Alex goes down, a left hand fracture of the metacarpal. That's a big blow for Alex's title charge. And of course, getting back to full fitness. But I do think that Alex will be okay in the long run. It's just a shame that it came at this time because I was really interested in the race today and how it would play out with Alex. I think that he would have had podium pace. He was just getting back into the battle and got caught up with Pedro. But yeah, on those unlucky things, and we'll see how his recovery goes. But he will probably have surgery either tonight or tomorrow in Madrid. Marco Bezzecchi, I think, probably just behind Mark in the rider of the week, of the weekend. I think that he was fantastic. That Aprilia, all the situation that's going on there with them, he delivered magnificently for Aprilia. He just had so much pace, and especially the sprint and then the Grand Prix today, making plenty of moves and just really at one with that bike. It's good to see Bezzecchi really get on top of it and take the fight to the Ducatis. And I think that he has really impressed me in terms of how his progression has went with that bike. I mean, the Aprilia situation with Jorge Martin, as I say, how can Jorge Martin sit at home and think that bike's not good? It's delivered plenty of performance and strong results this year, and I think that it's a messy situation there. Pecco Bagnaia getting third place. I think Pecco just has to accept that's all he could do this weekend. And his qualifying was strong. Same issues in the sprint fuel tank issues for him, as he says. Drops to P5. Leads the race early on today in the Grand Prix and has. I thought he would have had more pace, to be honest. But once Mark got through, once Bezzecchi got through, even Acosta got through, there was a moment where I thought Bagnaia was just going to keep going backwards. But he regathered up this pace and ended up in third place. His winning streak of the Grand Prix at Assen ends. But, Pecco can take some, I think, maybe some positives out of this because you look at the last three races, he's went third in the Grand Prix. At Aragon, he seemingly thought he had found a step with the bigger brake discs, then struggled in Mugello, and then came back to relatively where he should be. I think this year has been third place, has been his real maximum potential on most weekends, and he delivered that. So, yeah, Pecco has something to look forward to heading into the Sachsenring. But yeah, the race was a slow one. It was one that people struggled to overtake, and I think people finally understood Marco Bezzecchi couldn't get close to Marc Marquez. What's the problem there? Marc was too quick. Bezzecchi couldn't get near him. And all those people saying about Alex Marquez protecting Marc, I think that kind of sums it up. There was a few big incidents in that race. Fermin Aldegar was, very unlucky, but he was very lucky in the sense he didn't get hit by Joan Mir. They collided, but they are thankfully both okay. Fabio Quartararo, a story of what could have been. Pole position, fantastic. Sprint race crash. And he dropped away off in the Grand Prix and didn't have anything really to match the front group. He actually almost had to avoid Fermin Aldegar and ran wide. But yeah, I think that there's a lot of work to do at Yamaha at the minute. And I think that there's a growing sense that Quartararo is starting to feel unhappy there, and potentially if the year after, if the V4 doesn't work out, potentially could this be the ending of the relationship with Quartararo and Yamaha in a year or so's time? We'll have to wait and see. The bike looked fantastic though. That livery was 10 out of 10. I think it's been the best livery that we've had this year. finally just want to talk about Marc Marquez's weekend. Touched on it at the start. I think that when he gets into a weekend where he's not expected to perform or he kind of plays it down himself, it's when he's at his most dangerous because he proves it to everyone that he's the man. And he is the man in 2025. That is 15 wins with Sprint and Grand Prix combined. The closest person to that, Alex Marquez, with 2. And that is the gap that we're looking at here with Marc and the rest of the field. It's been said many times, the only person that can beat Marc Marquez, it seems, is himself. And I think he's proven that this year. Gets a Sachsenring next for Marc, which of course is statistically his best track in MotoGP. And I think it's kind of that Rafa Nadal, Roland Garros effect with many of the others. They go to Sachsenring and they automatically assume that Marc has got the race won. Hasn't been that way in previous years, obviously. He finished second last year, obviously, but he got a big massive crash on the Friday. And then years before that with the struggles with the Honda and not being there because of injury. I think he wants to get there and prove a point that he is the king of the Sachsenring and he wants to add more legacy there at the famous German circuit, which, yeah, I don't know how it's going to go. Considering this week, there's not been many overtakes, and I think it's proven that MotoGP in 25 is very difficult to overtake with the aero, the front tyre. That's another debate. I appreciate what you're seeing, guys. I've said it in many videos this year. Marc Marquez he's rolling back the years. I didn't think I'd ever see someone get to the level that they were in a previous form. I'm talking about 2019 Marc. I can't believe it. He's actually more mature, calculated. He thinks so much on the bike. He's got the tools with him now that he can do it with a Ducati. Injuries, getting battered by the gravel, cut on his chin with stitches in it. Nothing can deter this guy. The mentality, the mental strength, the ability to overcome things and reset is his biggest asset. And his talent, I don't know where it ends. It seems like we've never seen really the true potential of Marc Marquez, because every time you think he's going to, how can I say, steady, he just increases it by another level. He had that race well apparently sewn, I think, today. I think he was managing the pace. He controlled it beautifully to Bezzecchi. And there's just something about him this year that I think the others can't live with. It's not a knock on the other riders. He is just better than them. And I think Ducati know that. And they're giving him the tools to fight every weekend, no matter the condition. He hasn't been off the podium whenever he finishes, really, or barring he makes a mistake. He just is always there. Starting off to the front row, it doesn't matter to him. He will still find a way to win. And it's the first time he's won 3 races since 2019. We all know how that season ended. It was it was phenomenal. It was his greatest ever. And I think 68 points to Alex now, who's going to have a lot on his plate, getting back to full fitness. That left hand, obviously, of course, go to the Sachsenring next, where it is predominantly left-hand corners. That's going to be a real struggle for Alex Marquez, even if he gets there. And we'll see what happens then. But let me know your thoughts on the race in the comments below. Marc Marquez extends his lead. Aprilia looking strong, but they've got plenty of drama off the track. We'll be back tomorrow for the Christ MotoGP podcast. I hope you can join us for that. And until next time, we'll see you then. Take care.